Yeah, pretty much. Yep, that's
Which
100% accurate, and it's
which bothers
frustrating,
me.
but it's I get it. I'm not Luigi's Mansion is one of those game series where I will give a lot of breaks to because it's like
Sure.
I don't really expect much, and if I'm getting a good amount of content and fun out of it that I don't have to think a lot about, I'm down.
Mm. I've
Like
had a good game, a good time with it. It looks gorgeous and it plays fine for the most part, except for those frustrating parts where it's like, okay, well, you didn't tell me it would do that, and when I tried to do this other thing that would have worked physics wise, you wouldn't let me do it. So I
yeah,
don't know how you expected me to know other than EGAD popping up and being like, hey, you could probably do this thing. It's like, hey, if you have to do that, then your idea sucks.
it can. Thank God though that they realize that a hint system is necessary,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not just like, oh, okay, well, just go struggle, just go
Figure it
struggle.
out.
You'll, f-
Go look, figure it out. Try to figure it out for 2 minutes and then look it up.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Um,
it's a good for me it's a good palate cleanser between Fire Emblem and Pokemon coming out. So
yeah, yeah.
perfect.
I think it's cool, and I'm probably gonna finish it. Although Anthony said this next boss in the basement will make you quit the game, and I was like, we'll see.
I don't know,
Probably.
dude. I played Celeste. I got a lot of controller throwing anger in
Right.
me.
He's talking at me. He's
Oh,
talking at me.
okay.
Because that's how it used to be. Video games is the one thing that I've been doing since I was a kid, and I think I'm probably worse at it now than I was.
How'd you get worse?
I think I just have less patience.
Okay, fair
Back
enough.
in the day, I would sit down and like, if a game sucked, it would be like, well, this is the one that I'm getting for the summer, so
See,
I have to figure out how to make it not suck. Whereas now, I'll just buy a new fucking game. I don't give a shit.
it's a conversation I've been having like with friends at work and stuff. Like,
Hmm.
okay, we're all adults now. We have jobs and stuff. We have money. We can buy
Hmm.
whatever we want, and we buy
Within reason, I don't have a hot
what?
tub, and I should.
Right,
But
but like video games wise, we can buy any game we
right.
want. We don't have to like pick and choose and do all that. So you sit there and it's like, oh, there's 3 games coming out this month. Okay, I'll just buy all 3 of them. But you don't
Hmm.
have time to play them because you're an adult. And when you get home, it's like, no, fuck no, I don't want to play a goddamn video game. But you sit back and you think about like when you were a kid, and you technically had less time because school and homework,
Right.
but you only got one game every 4 months. You 100% that motherfucker
Hmm.
because you weren't getting another one.
Right.
You played that till it was dead and gone, and your parents said, "Okay, you can have a new game."
Well, there's a part. Have you ever read High Fidelity?
Yeah.
Uh, the part in High Fidelity where he talks about he's like, women want to be worshipped, like 20 women in their 20s just want to be fucking worshipped by men, but men in their 20s don't have the fucking time of day for that shit because they're so busy. He's like, the perfect marriage is between like a 25-year-old woman and like a 14-year-old boy, because that's what they're looking for, is that sort of like
I don't know.
single-minded worship,
He must not have met many women in their 20s because most of the girls I know that are in their 20s, they want to be treated like shit.
Sure, sure. Um,
I don't understand it at all either.
uh, so yeah, it's cool. The tough one for me in that regard is going to be, I think, like Doom and Animal Crossing are coming out in like the same week or something like that.
Yeah, but see, that's a good a good problem to have because like you can play Doom for a couple hours, get pissed, and then go play Animal
Well,
Crossing.
sure, yeah, sure. I mean, they're so completely different games that like,
Yeah, it's not like oh yeah, Final Fantasy VII remake and then Dragon Quest 11 all are coming out on the same day. It's like, well, fuck. Thank God it's not happening, but
we have to talk about two things. Thanksgiving.
yes,
What do we want to
I mean I'll be here.
do? Do we want to do like earlier in the day?
What it's up to you, dude. Whatever. I've talked to my family. My family like schedules aren't matching up, so it's not looking like we're gonna do anything. So I might be with Carissa's family, I need to talk to her. They're kind of taking like everything a week at a time because her nana's really like it's the last few weeks of that.
Okay.
So, but I'll talk to her again this weekend and I'll nail something down. But like I don't care. It's up to you.
Okay. The other thing is, do we want to potentially plan on Double or Nothing?
Um,
And that's a much further out conversation,
but easier to plan.
but easier to plan. I think we should try to hit a pay-per-view this year. I think that's going to be a big one. Plus, it's in Vegas and probably the same weekend as Punk Rock Bowling, so that'd be cool. And it's not going to be during Dragon Con.
Yeah, and we don't have to we don't have to go to Starcast because we can go to Punk Rock Bowling.
We can go to anything. It's fucking Vegas.
Yeah.
You know.
I'd be down. That'd be fun to me. I've never been to Vegas, so I'm down.
Yeah. So that's what I was looking at horizon wise. I mean, it is far away. It is man. But
Like the only thing like will impede that is I need to like depending on how the house stuff goes. But we can say now like yeah, I'm down for that. It'd be fun.
yeah. So I'll start talking with trying to get a crew together for that. If people want to go, Corbett and Ann showed an interest in going because they don't want to go to Scoutfest this year.
Good.
And I was like,
fucking good.
I was like, good, because it sucks. You guys would have way more fun. I was like, well, there probably will be a wrestling show in Vegas that would be good for me to go to, and it'll be the same weekend as Punk Rock Bowling, and it'll be Vegas. Like, if you guys have never been, I think that'd be a cool thing to go.
Yeah.
And they seemed open to that, so maybe them and whoever else, you know.
You think Sean will go again?
I don't know. He didn't. As you'll remember, he didn't want to go to Chicago because of the drain
Planes.
on it. He knows how much of a drain Vegas is from having been there before. I think he'll probably express an interest. I think he ultimately won't go.
Okay, that's fine. Where's my goddamn bottle?
I know. If he does go, he's got to bring a goddamn fucking bottle, dude. I got to try to get it from him on Friday.
Like at the very least, if he does not bring that shit to Boston with you guys so that you can mail it, like the fuck. Because like we're moving into the territory of like, dude, you're being just a shitty friend now.
Yeah, that checks. So those are the two things. Yeah, I would say probably the plan would be to do an early show for Thanksgiving. What about Sunday? What do you want to do Sunday? Because we're not beholden to Scottish scheduling anymore.
Do you want to do like mid-afternoon?
Okay. What?
How long do you think you are? How in depth are you going to go with your notes? That's the real question.
The notes I can't imagine will be that bad because it's going to be mostly wrestling.
Yeah, but like you also have to look at it. We have the past two pay-per-views. We've been there, so we haven't taken notes on a pay-per-view in a while.
I agree with that. It is a lot of content, but if you'll read through my notes on Dynamite, when it comes to a match, usually it's like a paragraph that I write about each match, right? There's 8 matches on the card, so it's going to be 8 paragraphs, but I don't think it's going to be 10 pages.
Is it confirmed 8 matches?
I mean, that's what Wikipedia says.
Because that's fair. I know the card looks weird as it did as of last night. It looked weird.
Yeah, and there doesn't appear to be a buy-in.
Yes.
There is?
Britt and B is on the buy-in. They announced that.
Oh, okay.
Now that may be the only one, but I could see them putting Joey and Spears on the buy-in. That's the only other match I could see on this list that would be appropriate unless they announce something tomorrow, which they have a bad habit of doing.
Just wait until PWS puts their shit out.
Yeah.
And then drop something.
Pretty much. All I have to do on Sunday is like I have to do my laundry and go to the grocery store and shit like that. So like, it's movable around whenever you want to go.
I don't think notes are going to be that bad.
Okay.
But Mid to late afternoon is probably better for where my sleeping is right now.
That's fair. So you want to do like 3?
Tentatively,
Okay,
yes. Card subject to change on that one.
that's fine. I gotta add the picks into this.
No, I have them at the bottom.
Yeah, I need to put it on the other sheet so that I can keep them.
Okay.
It's not as big a deal with this because we'll talk about them on Sunday, but like I had them in the time codes document for the tournament because that was weeks. Fuck. I'm so used to using my keyboard on a Mac and the buttons aren't in the same spot.
Yeah, try using a PC keyboard on your Mac. It's terrible.
Well, technically it is, but these two, I switched the place of them on purpose, so I keep getting fucked up.
Why did you switch them on purpose then?
So that it would match the Mac and I wouldn't get fucked up at work where I use the keyboard all day long.
Okay.
Fun times.
I'm sitting there going, why on earth?
Damn it.
Why on earth did they add original Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12, and Ocean's 13, but not the remake?
What are you talking?
Not so they have Rat Pack Ocean's 11 on Netflix.
Okay.
They have Ocean's 12,
The sequel.
to the remake, and then they have Ocean's 13, the third sequel to the remake, but they don't have Ocean's 11, the remake, like the good one.
All right.
They just have the shitty ones. And
Why?
I'm like, come on!
Why? I mean, they're why?
I don't know why you would buy those 3 films and not the other one, but somebody fucking Hulu probably has it or some shit.
Probably. No, I would bet money Time Warner has it.
Probably.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Disney Plus, man.
Disney in just a few days.
Few days. I'm looking forward to The Mandalorian.
5 days. Mandalorian's supposed to drop weekly?
It will drop every week. First, it's live for day of, and it will drop 1 episode per week. The final episode drops the day before episode 9, which is cool. It probably won't tie in at all, but we have Star Wars every week until then.
Did they say when it takes place?
Judging by characters that have appeared between 3 and 4.
Okay.
Because some of the characters that have appeared have been like on Rebels and in Rogue One.
That's a good time to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for that, only because of my faith in Favreau, to be honest.
That's fair.
And the trailers look good. And it's focusing on not Jedis, which I think is really smart. For expanding the universe, and Rogue One kind of did that, but it kind of didn't.
Yeah, I mean, all of their TV shows, for the most part, do not have Jedis. So
yeah,
the and plus, man, you get all the Marvel movies day one.
Did they announce that it's all of them?
Yep.
Well, I'll just.
I won't drop $500.
Yeah. No, I'll probably pick up that last box, but I don't know if I'll move beyond that. Since apparently it looks like the future in the MCU is in television, not in fucking movies. But...
Yeah, I can see that.
And maybe that's wise. Maybe they're trying to give people a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
On the movie standpoint.
It's for the best. I mean, you don't want to cause a surplus of these and oversaturate the market.
Right. Yeah. You want to do a show?
Let's do a show. Where's my window? Cool, let's do it.
I'm not surprised. We're not surprised. The arrival of Chris Jericho with the Inner Circle, it's been blunt. or to use a more apropos term, it's been strategic. They have taken a scalpel to the elite. But it's a short victory lap, men, and here is why. We were already looking for you. We looked within our own club at one point. We have searched all over the world for a card that we could put our names on and match up with Matt and Nick Jackson, with Kenny Omega, with Hangman Adam Page, with myself, hell, with my brother. So, we were looking, and you found us. November 9th, this Saturday, I find myself on the marquee with our AEW World Champion, Chris Jericho. Tony and I have talked about it. He knows what I'm about to announce, but before I do, humor me, I'm going to go on a bit of a detour and rattle off a few names. Eddie Graham, Cowboy Bill Watts, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. All of them were titans in our business. They were the best bell to bell, and they were the best at the box office. And for those who saw them with their own eyes, those memories reverberate in their heart. It is a good feeling. It is positive. But for the cold and sterile historians of our business, there's an air of controversy that surrounds it. It's from the simple fact that those men were also, in addition to being competitors, they were management. Not unlike myself. And for the last year, I've told everybody, every podcast, every radio, every correspondent, I've shouted it off the rooftops how proud I am of AEW, how proud I am of the all-inclusive nature, of the schedule, of the pay, of the fact that we will listen. This is Ellis Island for a professional wrestler. This is freedom. So, when I hear the same criticism attached to my name for being management and being in a title match, I can't not hear it. And with that said, I am announcing that if I do not defeat Chris Jericho at Full Gear, I will never challenge for the AEW World Championship again. Chris Jericho, that is a very big if. It's not an encumbrance. It's not an albatross that is going to sit on your chest and weigh you down. It is going to vanish. You've taken to calling my lot entitled millennials. You've called me an entitled millennial bitch. I neglected to read in your best-selling book, A Lion's Tale, which you can get on Amazon for $3 or at any flea market. I neglected to read about the upbringing you had that was so hard. You talked about my silver spoon. Gosh, it must have been so difficult being the upper-class son of a famous hockey player. It is almost like we shared the exact same silver spoon, you stupid dick. You dismissed every accomplishment I've made. You've talked about my father. Well, you call me an entitled millennial, I call you a carny succubus, because the dirty secret about you The dirty secret is you need this generation more than it needs you. And you've surrounded yourself with impressionable youth. This isn't about my dad. This isn't about the dead. It's about the living. It's about my mother. It's about my sister. It's about my wife. It's about the 14 years it took me to go from undesirable to un-goddamn deniable. At full gear, I beat you. I become the world champion, and you fall back into your circle, your inner circle, and you let them know the ground should be rumbling between their feet because the elite are coming. And when the elite and the inner circle square off, it'll be a match beyond, and we are going to eat you alive.
We call ourselves the elite. If not us, who? A little bit of the bubbly.
And if not now, when?
We don't care about race or gender or sex or religion. If you're an elite athlete, we want you.
This is an official declaration of war.
Change the world. We are going to change the whole universe!
This is what you call a paradigm shift.
This is a family! This is a revolution! We can never stop!
All elite wrestling!
For the 34th time, it's Friday morning, and you know what that means? It's time for the only God damn it. It's time for the next chapter of the only professional wrestling podcast that is changing the world every week. This is Seeing the Elite, an AEW podcast. I am your host, Bryce Reed. I am joined by my friend, my co-host, my tag team partner, Mr. Jonathan Davis.
What's up, dude?
Long ass intro and I fuck it up when I come in. We are just days away from Full Gear, and the excitement in the air is palpable. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Jonathan and I are two friends, fans, lovers of professional wrestling who are here every single Friday morning with all the latest news from All Elite Wrestling. Thanks to our EVP, Chris Genro, and our supporters on Patreon. For those of you that contribute, we are honored and deeply appreciate your support. Those of you who have yet to get in, what are you doing? Get over to Patreon, subscribe, help support the show, help us make the show better every single week. Help us change the world. Subscribers get a ton of awesome perks within our community, as well as bonus episodes, access to show notes, and getting to watch us record the show live. We hope that you'll consider joining our inner circle. Patreon.com/Seeing the Elite. Up for Patreon subscribers right now is my most of the way watch along of last night's episode of Dynamite with my brother, Tony Baloney.
Oh, wait, what? I gotta listen to that.
This is not a sports entertainment show. It's an entertaining sports show supported by fans like you from all over the world on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and podcast services everywhere. Subscribe, review, give us 5 stars, just like Meltzer. It makes us feel so sweet. Jonathan, how sweet?
Too sweet, buddy.
Facebook.com/Seeing the Elite, Twitter @Seeing the Elite. And if you really want to be part of the crew, in with all of our amazing community members, AEW fans from all over the world, tinyurl.com/Seeing the Elite will get you an invite to our Discord server where we have been having a ball. The last few weeks, I haven't been able to be in the chat trying to make this watch along thing happen. But even without me, the chat was huge last night, and going back through it was a blast. JD on the time codes as always, but we're going to get started. We're going to start as we always do with a quote here. There are some other guys.
Time codes are not counting that long ass fucking intro.
Quote, there are some other guys, but we're not trying to be old school TNA where anybody that wants to leave WWE comes to AEW. That's not what we're looking to do. Obviously, there's John Moxley that when they become available, we sign them. And Moxley was one of those guys who said, I'm out of here. I don't care what you pay me, and didn't even look at the offer they gave him. That's because he was done and ready to go. If you're using AEW to make more money off of Vince, go for it. That's great too, but it's not like we're taking everybody that's going to leave WWE and come to AEW, because those guys who are working WWE now, they got huge raises, and if they were on the indie circuit, they wouldn't be making $500 a night. The point is that Vince just doesn't want anybody to leave WWE because it looks like an exodus, and if they do, it makes us look even cooler. We do things our way. We've got a great roster of guys, and if someone becomes available that really wants to be with us, and we think that they fit our vibe, then we'll take them. It doesn't mean that they're going to get millions and millions of dollars to come, because once again, that's not what we're doing. I think we've assembled an awesome roster with at least 10 to 12 potential main eventers, and we have to build all those guys up first to build up the mid-card guys and then build up the opening match guys to create stars. That's what we have to do. Quickly create stars. And once we do, we'll be even higher up the food chain than we are now. That comes to us from Le Champion, Chris Jericho. A lot of interesting points here, but really focused around this news about Randy Orton that happened this week, with him teasing that he was going to come over only to sign for a bigger money contract with WWE. And that it's really interesting because Jericho spends a lot of time giving a lot of lip service to, we won't necessarily take everyone. Randy Orton is someone they would have taken. But
yeah, and so there's two factors to that. They would have taken Randy Orton for the name more so than the talent.
Sure. Honestly,
honestly,
potentially be great, but
yeah, and like we really don't even know, because like, you know, you and I talked about it a long time when Moxley was the free agent before Double or Nothing, and it was like, I don't give a shit if they sign him. He's a fucking boring wrestler, and that got proven way wrong. So it's an interesting thing. I kind of always felt like Randy Orton was blowing smoke up everybody's ass, and he was playing Vince. It's pretty clear he was playing Vince, and the sad part is he kind of blew it for a lot of guys. There's not a lot of guys who can't do that anymore, because say a lot of things about Vince. He does wise up after somebody pulls a trick on him.
yeah.
And you're not going to be seeing other guys that are up for renewal be able to pull this. Oh, I'll just go to AEW. They've already sent me an offer. He's going to be like, okay, I want to see it.
Sure. And it could be potentially that he was playing Vince. He could have very been willing to go if the deal wasn't right for him, right? Like,
yeah, but I mean, and there's also the thing where Randy Orton is notoriously a troll and loves to fuck with people on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So he's one of the few, right? You can't take what he says for granted. It's like a massive pile of salt with anything he says. What's more interesting is, you know, after all the stuff with Crown Jewel, we've heard there's a lot of people who are very, very unhappy and plan to be leaving once their contracts are up. We'll see how that goes once contracts are up, but it's a big boon for AEW, to be honest with you.
They're not making any more friends over there. We will talk a little bit more about them later when we get to ratings and stuff like that. But for now, being the elite number 178, this ain't water. Cold open with the Bucks walking backstage, upset that they failed to find a bottle of water anywhere within this arena. Matt and Nick spot senior official Rick Knox and decide to throw their empty bottle on the floor to see how Rick reacts. Trouble is, Rick Knox doesn't care anymore.
Yeah, the fucks have run out.
The Bucks turn to see Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy, who are sipping off cups of clear liquid. They ask, can we get a drink of that water? Cassidy says, Matt, with all due respect, this ain't water. Private Party clink cups as Matt and Nick ask, if it isn't water, then what is it? You want to find out? Matt says, no, we don't do alcohol. As the scene sort of falls into laughter and just That's the end of it.
Yeah,
the
that
main
was a
titles kick into gear.
that was a
So,
great one because you can tell it's like, oh, they planned out most of this,
right.
and then Matt just like, I'm just gonna freestyle this and couldn't help crack up. Like even Cutler was cracking up. It's like, okay, you're full of shit, dude.
Short scene of Justin Roberts trying to find the right voice for Naka. So it's just Naka over again, a bunch of different Sully voices, which is fine. It was followed by a bunch of arena footage here. Next, we see Cassidy and Trent dressed in their Halloween costumes waiting backstage. In slides Chucky T dressed as Rick Sanchez, portal gun in hand. And he is excited that the gang is all suited up, but notices that Trent looks a little upset. He says, "What's the matter, big dog? We won. I came off the top rope, double stomp to the butt. I didn't get to say the S word yet, but man." And then Chuck reply here. He says, "I told you 3 weeks ago that I didn't want to be Morty. You made me be Morty. I look like shit." And then walked out of the which is awesome. And I love how upset he was that he had to be Morty.
I mean, who wouldn't be? Morty sucks, dude.
Trent exits and Chuck turns to Orange Cassidy. He says, he's lucky we didn't make his ass Jerry, am I right? In walks Jerry Lynn, who is dressed as Orange Cassidy, and Chuck exits. Something about the best friends, man. The stuff they always put together is...
It's so funny.
It's funny because it's in their voice. Like, you can tell that they came up with it, but the timing is correct and good and funny. It's like the opposite of like SCU. Like when SCU does a bit and they film it and you're like, oh, okay, the timing is slow here and it needs to be faster.
It's also like you can tell, like, okay, you've recorded this about 30 times because you fucked it up. The best friends, it's like, no, it's one and done because I don't know. I guess they're just so comfortable with a camera, and SCU, it just, even though they've been doing this for a while, it still makes them nervous. So that's just, some people have it, some people don't.
But they're finding it. I mean, the Douya stuff has been working really great because of how quick it is, and I think they're kind of understanding that, like, maybe that's the secret to a better segment is just quick shit, which is what this was with them, you know, like very quick.
I love this whole thing. And did you see the pictures on Instagram of Tony, Jerry Lynn, and Orange Cassidy with Shad?
Yeah,
dude, such funny shit. Before we continue, I want to shout out to Jerry Lynn. Hope he's doing well. Heard he's not doing too great right now, and hopes he gets better.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, he's having to miss Starcast in Full Gear because of an undisclosed issue.
More arena footage here, and next we see Frankie Kazarian dressed as Vincent Vega doing a riff on the cheeseburger monologue.
This was rough.
He's not feeling it. SCU did Pulp Fiction for Halloween last year, and it doesn't feel right now. CD, dressed as Mia Wallace, steps into frame. CD thinks Pulp Fiction is the right call. He even let Sky be Jules Winfield, even though CD believed that he's a better Sam Jackson for obvious reasons.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter because CD wants a dance. They then redo the dance scene at great length. In walks Sky, Ron Simmons, damn, you know, from him. And then there's more dancing out. Again, the core joke here is really funny. It takes so long to get there.
Yeah.
And
we didn't have to do the whole fucking dance scene or the cheeseburger joke. Like,
no. Literally, the funny bits in this scene are CD walking in as Mia Wallace, Ron Simmons, damn. All you had to do was have Kazarian be like, CD, are you ready yet? And he's like, I look ridiculous. He's like, come out. He comes out, he's Mia Wallace, and then comes in Scorpio Sky and says, damn. Then you have it. You don't need any of this other stuff, and it doesn't add to the comedy of the scene. It's really, really tough, but it's typical SCU stuff where it's bloated. The idea is bloated with all this other shit and time, and so by the time the punchline rolls around, it's over. Like, we got it. Thank you. Late. But I don't have any problem with the idea of the joke of anything they do. It's just the execution bothers me.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm of two minds of this. There's parts that they do, and it's the quick hits, and it's great. But there's other ones like they do like this, where it's like 5 minutes too long, even though like you look at the timestamps and it's like a 90-second bit, but it feels like an eternity because it's so stiff and awkward that your timing's bad, and it's you guys are not comfortable in front of a camera, and I'm getting to the point like I can't tell if it's everyone or if it's just CD, because I feel like it's really just CD because Scorpio is fine.
Yeah, Scorpio on his own has done stuff that I thought was really funny.
And Frankie doing the do ya thing is funny, and he does that, and then he has a quick little one liner, so it's kind of, you know.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I can feel that. Now to Peter Avalon and Leva Bates.
Also,
moving on.
it was just.
Peter is upset about his win-loss record. Leva says, it's okay, it's like golf. This makes no sense, but that's the joke. So we're going to move on to the next thing. Nice little shot of Luchasaurus watching his boys over the ice on his knee through the monitors in the dusty position. It was cool to see him sitting there. Interesting that he's going to TV throughout this injury, rather. Arena footage. Next, we see SCU coming backstage to the applause of the locker room, and we watch as the belts get name-plated, which is cool footage to see, although footage that they had released separately on Facebook, I think, at some point after the show. We close out watching the Merch Freak close out the show by throwing some merch into the crowd. Out in the crowd, someone has brought an inner circle sign with a hole cut through the middle. Nick sees the challenge. He's going to go for it. He says that if he can make it, AEW will come back to that arena for a pay-per-view. There's a big build-up, a big drum roll, and a miss. Nick takes another shot, miss again. One last shot. They move the sign like maybe 10 yards closer for him, and it's a success and a big cheer, and they go off the air with that. I guess the thing I want to talk about before we continue to talk about the shows, before we talk about AEW Dark this week, before we talk about AEW Dynamite, is these pictures circulating of sort of half-filled arenas for AEW Dynamite and stuff like that. Have you seen these?
No, I haven't seen that at all.
But you can see that, you can see it for in some of these segments that they do on BTE. Certain moments during AEW Dark, you can see it too. People are calling doom and gloom on this, but people need to remember these shows are on a fucking Wednesday.
It's on a Wednesday, and most of the time when they're recording these segments is usually during AEW Dark. Not to mention, most of, if not all of the Dynamite tickets have been sold to scalpers.
Sure, there's that. I mean, not so much that they're missing half the arena. A lot of these places have had tickets left ever since the first few episodes. But that's how it's going to be. I mean, WWE goes through the same thing, and it's their fault because they also book massive arenas for no goddamn reason. Well, yes, but they've also intentionally, like, even people who really like wrestling are like, why would I go to Raw? Nothing important ever happens. Yeah. I don't call doom and gloom on this. It's a condition that they need to fight against, and it's going to be that way, I think, for a long time. Because, again, even once you get to the point where, like, oh, no, AEW Dynamite's a must-see show, it's still on a fucking Wednesday. And there are a lot of adults who will not go out to shows on weekdays because they just don't have the fucking time. I mean, because, like, for me personally, whenever Dynamite comes through Atlanta, I will go. It's going to be a difficult thing because I'm going to have to leave work early to, get down to the arena. Right. I'm going to be 2 hours early because that's just part of it. And with Atlanta traffic, that's part of, trying to get to a show. I'm not going to get home until after midnight because dark is like, about an hour after-ish? Yeah. I
Ish.
mean, it's an hour total, and one of the matches typically airs before the show. So.
Right. Well, that's the edited version.
Right.
So let's say the show is 7 to 11. Okay, then I have to fight my way out of the arena and back into traffic, and then with the normal drive, that's another hour. So there's not a lot of people who have a full-time job who want to stay out till midnight
Right.
just to go to a wrestling show.
Yeah. That's true. And the other important part of this is that they move people from that other side to the side that the cameras are shooting so that every seat looks filled on the side that they're shooting.
Yeah.
If you didn't do that, then the arena would look, mostly peppered full, when you do that, it leaves
have
this stark image of a bunch of empty seats.
Right.
Together, right.
And there's also the mentality of people have been looking at like, oh, well, All Out, they did full crowd shots and it was completely full. It's like, yeah, that was a massive show and a massive pay-per-view. That's
on a
not
Saturday night
with a lot of lead up and a lot of events surrounding it. It was like, that's the exception. That's not the rule. Full Gear will probably be very similar, where it's going to be a very full arena.
Comparing pay-per-views to TV is very silly.
Yeah.
I mean, even WWE pay-per-views do much better than TV does.
Yeah, you can. A, it's on a Saturday. B, you know about it so far in advance. You can plan your whole weekend around it. So it's easier to do that.
AEW Dark, Episode 5, Charleston, West Virginia. Shivani welcomes his new co-host for AEW Dark, Dasha Gonzalez, who is apparently one half of the Spanish commentary team. I may watch Full Gear if I'm alone in Spanish, just so I don't have to hear JR.
You're gonna miss Golden Boy.
Oh, well, that's true.
Because he has gone on Twitter and said which matches he's calling.
And
it's the good ones.
I gotta watch it, unfortunately. I gotta watch it in English.
Yeah.
Spanish commentary sounds nice, though. MJF on commentary is fantastic throughout this episode. Him and Excalibur together. He's great. And as many people on Reddit said, if that's the future for him after wrestling, I think he's going to be absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, he was really good. There was a couple moments where he got a little flustered. And you could tell that. There's also moments where, Cody's already said that they had to filter it out because I'm sure he went on some probably pretty rough rants.
Well, he himself said that the reason why the episode was an hour late is because they had to edit out something that he said. Whether or not that's true.
That's hilarious, though. And knowing MJF's character, yeah, he probably said something and people were like, dude, you can't say that. It was a very interesting thing because, usually the interactions you have with MJF are quick and he's almost always in character the whole time because it's like 3-5 minutes at the most. As he was doing the commentary, he went in and out a little bit. And he was the wrestling fan and he was doing the commentator stuff. He was not the cocky MJF character, and that was a revitalizing way of seeing him.
Yeah. And
I really enjoyed his commentary. He's really, really good at it, and I'm the same. Like, if he decides that the wrestling stuff ends up being too hard on his body, or he has some kind of injury, knock on wood, I don't wish that on anyone, he could absolutely be a commentator and make a lot of money doing it.
Mm-hmm. Sean Spears versus Michael Nakazawa. It was great to see Nakazawa get another match, which I didn't know was going to happen after Fighter Fest.
I don't think any of us did, dude.
Because of Tony's very vocal opinions on that match. This match was fun, silly. Went through most of the whole match thinking that Nakazawa had a massive erection, which...
Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one.
It turns out he was wearing a pad and a bottle of oil down there and only had a slight erection. Spears pins Nakazawa with a slingshot jackhammer, one of Tully's favorite maneuvers, apparently. I thought it was, enjoyable. I thought it was silly. I was super glad when he pulled the stuff out of his trunks. I was like, okay, thank God, because I thought he was just full on Randy Orton in that fucking ring, dude. But
Popped a Viagra before the match.
yeah, and that's his gimmick now, is that
He's all
fully
oily.
erect.
Dude, could you see that little bit of him backstage and just like popping it with the baby oil in his mouth and then going?
I can't control it. I
can't
control it.
Yeah, Kenny's just shaking his head in disgust.
I thought it was a fun match, but I mean, it was silly, and like Sean Spears' other match this week, I'm not sure it really did anything for anyone, because I knew that Sean Spears could beat Michael Nakazawa, and then he did. So it's like, okay, I guess it bolsters his win-loss record a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean that's really the goal here. Is like you're not always gonna have interesting matches. You're gonna have seemingly squash matches, but you have to pad the records up a little bit. And there's also it's just let's go. You got a big roster. Let's go through some different matchups. See what sticks.
I like that they're not really squashing though. I mean, like, the match was still competitive.
Yeah.
Big Swole versus Mercedes Martinez versus Ali versus Sadie Gibbs. This match was really slow to get started, but I thought the last 8 minutes or so were really great. Sadie Gibbs pinned Big Swole off of a moonsault. I was really pleasantly surprised by how like lucid and entertaining this match was for a four-way. I think there are a lot of talents in this company, male and female, that have stumbled more in these multi-man matches than these girls did. So kudos to them for that. I thought it was great. Especially in the sort of final moments. I did think they struggled a little bit in the beginning.
Yeah, it was a good tag team match. It was better than most. I'm glad they have signed both of these ladies to contracts. Sure. I need to see a little bit more, but I mean, Ali and Sadie are both very, very sloppy, and it's getting worse. I thought Sadie would get better, but no, it's bad.
The standouts for me were Mercedes Martinez and Big Swole. Although I thought Sadie was definitely a lot better than Ali was. But yeah, I thought Big Swole and Mercedes Martinez, it was really nice to see them go at it, and I thought they did a great thing. We then got a docu-style promo from Britt Baker, who I thought actually showed a lot of personality here, and made me a lot more excited for this feud.
Yeah, because she actually has a character now.
Yeah. Or I actually got to hear, I don't know if her character changed all that much, but actually getting to hear her talk about it made it better for me.
It made it better, but it wasn't the same old I'm a dentist. I'm wrestling too because it's my passion. Right. The whole like, okay, cool, you have two careers, we get it. She actually had passion and energy and not just this cookie cutter, I hate to say it, bullshit. Mm-hmm. So I wish her in-ring ability comes up, and it's like this was a great promo, and this is something that was very clearly not scripted for her. She was speaking from the heart, and that's what needs to be really happening with more of the promos. Mm-hmm. Saw a lot of it in the YouTube video that went up last night for the Full Gear preview show. Watched that at lunch today. It was very, very good. Highly recommend that. There's a lot of very new footage in there that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
So there's that, but this is the kind of stuff that Britt needs. At some point, she's gonna have to pick a career. It's either gonna be dentistry or it's gonna be wrestling. Mm-hmm. But until that day, this is enough to really carry her. And it's very similar to Ali. Is that this is. She seems to be better story driven. Mm. Also, that other match, that was a tag team match. That wasn't a 4-way.
Yeah, I know. Okay. I labeled it wrong when I did the notes.
Okay.
Undesirable to undeniable with Jimmy Havoc. I've always thought of Jimmy Havoc as a past exploration version of a Flophouse emo guy who likely isn't very bright, and this promo didn't really change my mind at all for him. A whole lot of just totally edgy Cockney middle fingers to the haters, bro. He does.
I'm good, man. I'm good with it. I like it.
He does talk about how his degree in film and his love of horror movies helped invigorate his character. And all my joking aside, while his character does nothing for me, I know there are a lot of people who will fucking love him for a couple of things. First of all, a lot of closet Anglophobes or Anglophiles. files.
Not phobes. That's the
in
bad one.
Yeah, that's the opposite. A lot of closet Anglophiles in America. Literally the only reason Peaky Blinders is popular.
Fuck you, man. That show is goddamn amazing, and you can go fuck yourself.
All right. Sorry. Literally the only reason why Doctor Who movies get
Okay,
shown in theaters.
there we go.
Okay?
That's fair.
And so people will love him for that. And then on top of that, while I'm not one of these fucking eyeliner wearing emo dudes, I know there are fucking a lot of them, and a lot of women really love that shit too. So I think it's going to be great for him. I think this helped sort of solidify his character, even though I thought it was kind of weird that like a 50-year-old man's acting like a teenager. But
Is he really that, like, is he in?
I don't think he's 50, but he's not fucking 25.
We're gonna look
either.
this up. I enjoyed this because he was very humble and down to earth, and that's something that is very needed for a character like him. You know, he's just a kind of a funny guy who likes death matches and horror movies.
He's a useful guy to have too, because he does have a degree in film, which will be useful for him to transition into something more for the company,
as well as helping the company.
He used to shoot all of his own promo packages, and that's what kind of got him over on the indies, was that his promo packages looked a whole lot nicer than a lot of other people's.
He is 35.
Yeah,
and he was wearing a dope House of a Thousand Corpses T-shirt, which I'm gonna mark on those movies. I love those movies.
Yeah, I just think I'd like to see that character evolve into something more than what it is, because right now it seems like when a mom wears her daughter's clothes, you know, and you're just like, oh, okay.
I mean, we did in Dynamite this week. We did see some evolution of his character, where he is starting. It's not just, oh, I'm edgy in death matches. I give a shit, and having anger and feuds. I think that's really going to help build him up.
I agree. Joey Janela and Jimmy Havoc versus Marco Stunt and Jungle Boy. Marco is using the dinosaur mask.
Wasn't during Dynamite. It was during Dark.
It was during Dark. It was immediately during Dark. Marco is using the dinosaur mask as an entrance mask only, unfortunately.
Which is fucked up, because everybody's like on like Twitter and shit is like, oh, it's Babysaurus. Go with it, man.
Yeah, work with that. Apparently, he's really attached to just being Marco Stunt. I think there's more money in a little tiny dinosaur character than Marco Stunt, but
there absolutely is. And being Marco Stunt doesn't tie you to this team of being this, and you're just being, honestly, you're being a selfish asshole for not going with this. The one thing I will say is, like, if he doesn't feel comfortable wrestling in the mask, that's fair. Because that's something you do have to get used to, but you're never going to get used to it if you don't do it.
Yeah, I think it's a whole lot smarter for him to be wearing that thing all the time. But he can do it. I mean, again, his music, his way, right? So if that's what he wants to do, I just don't see the wisdom in it. Janela ended up attacking Havoc with a staple gun near the end of the match, which I thought was pretty great. Then won the match with his own really fucking sloppy.
Dude, it was so bad.
Pile driver that he did. I was worried for Marco, because it looked like he landed like his neck on his leg or something, and it was just not good.
It was not good.
This is the first week where I watched the show in 2 parts. Chalk it up to time that I had, or my mood, or whatever, but I once again consistently felt like I wasn't watching anything terribly important, which is a problem. And a problem that we've had the last few weeks. I really want to see more of these matches be spillover from Dynamite. I understand that's hard to do because it's composed of dark matches that are filmed that very same night, but I'd like there to be a story reason why these things are happening, and not just like these people are fighting each other because they're fighting each other or whatever.
Yeah, and I think I've seen that feedback to them on Twitter. So I know they've heard that feedback, and then they're probably taking it into account. I think it's something that's I think after Full Gear, I think we're gonna see a little bit of a shift in things, because I think like they're taking like this time right now between the first episode and up to Full Gear as this is it, iteration 1. Let's take all the feedback we get and work off of that and do some swizzling if we need to, or keep going. And after Full Gear, where they're not where they can start over with their gimmicks as need be, they can start pushing more relevant matches to AEW Dark.
Yes. There is one final scene here where Tully and Sean Spears jump Joey Janela,
That was amazing, dude.
pull his tongue out with a pair of pliers, and stamp a cigarette out on it. It was really brutal. It was filmed really well. It was believable. I wish they'd showed it in
A little
its
bit more
entirety on Dynamite, but they didn't for probably TNT reasons.
yeah, valid reasons.
Let's talk about AEW Dynamite episode 6, Charlotte, North Carolina, from November 6th, 2019. The opening match was Pac versus Trent. I love that best friends are doing fist bumps with their thumbs up now.
Yeah, that's dope.
I think that's super awesome and probably going to be a t-shirt in the future.
I want it. I need it in my life.
Entrance music is perfect throughout this week. Production has finally got that sorted, and watching on my TV, on my sound system, like whenever entrance music came on, I was like, yeah.
Yep, I had no problems with it. The only real problems I had with it were the entrances that were happening during the picture-in-picture, which was okay. That sucks. Right. Yeah, it was great this week. The production has it dialed in. The ring mics were real dialed in this week. Mm-hmm. Everything was good. This match was good. The entrance and everything was very interesting. This match was kind of thrown together at the last minute. It was initially supposed to be Pac versus Shima. I'm guessing probably a visa issue.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I posted it in Discord this week because one of the TV providers leaked the matches on accident. Yeah, this was supposed to be Pac versus Shima. I think that got nixed due to some probably visa issues of some sort. So they just, Trent's gonna be there anyways. Trent, you do it.
I really like Shima, but I think Pac versus Trent was a more enjoyable match for me.
You and I are also tied more to the best friends than Shima. I would like to also see that match because I think that'd be a really good one. But like this was great.
And I just like seeing more of the tag people being broken out to do singles matches as well. Personally, it's a surprisingly competitive, unsurprisingly great match from everybody. The Orange Cassidy bit was great. He came in and did his little kicks and then just got fucked up by Pac, which is great.
That was so stiff too.
I really love the finish. The finish had some confusion behind it for people. Partially due to execution, I think mostly on Pac's part. Pac hits the black arrow and then pins and pulls up it too. And you can see it if you rewatch this, that he pulls up intentionally. What he doesn't do is pull
Trent up with him.
Off the mat, but it doesn't matter because if he's not pinning anymore, then it's not a pin. The problem is it didn't translate super well for the people in the back seats or even the people on TV. And so a lot of people saw this as a botch. I think after you see what he does after that, it's difficult to see this as a botch. To me, it was very clearly he did the black arrow, proved that he could have pinned off of it, got off the pin, and then slapped on the brutalizer to prove that, like, I could beat you fucking twice, and to send a message to Hangman Page to say, hey, yo, you think you got to guard against this one thing? I got other shit, because he hasn't really pinned off the black arrow in the company yet. So.
No, and I agree. I felt the same way. The real problem that I think people thought it was a botch is the ref's hand was like right here. Yeah. And that's the real thing is like, oh, you fucked that up.
Well, even if he counted the 3 and then went, wait, that wasn't right, he's allowed to do that as a ref. So
yeah, but that looks badly on you as wrestling. That's just it always is. It always will be. There's no two sides about it. It's like that makes it this sport that we know is fake look fake.
I think the worst part was commentary went, oh, it's over, and then went, oh, wait, no.
No. Like, half of commentary went, oh, it's over. Excalibur was like, oh, it was only at 2, and so.
So the one guy who was paying attention almost saved it from everybody else. Goddamn X. Pac took the mic after the match and cut a nasty promo on Hangman Page. Again, one of those guys where it's like, I cannot believe you scripted this, man, because look at this fucking promo. Night and day from anything we ever would have seen from him at the other company. And I understand it's been a long time since he's been there, but wow, man.
Yeah, it's
Just a character, just a character in the ring.
him
Really
and
there.
and especially fucking him, because he was this character for the last bits of his run. And they were like, dude, why are you censoring him? He knows how to be a dick.
Well, him, Moxley, Cody this week, you know, we played it at the top of the show, but Cody this week, man,
Yeah, we need to talk about the Cody one, because there's been a lot of feedback from places that's it's amazing, some of the things that have been said about that promo.
Next out is Cody, who came to make an announcement in an absolutely beautiful promo. Just inspirational. I was sitting there watching with Anthony doing this watch along and literally got chills at different parts during this promo. What a fucking monster this guy is. The announcement is that if Cody can beat Jericho at Full Gear, or can't beat Jericho at Full Gear, he will never challenge for the AEW World Championship again, which is really interesting because he is not forced to do this, but he does have motivation as a character to do it. For anyone that's been criticizing that, first, it's to sort of shut up the haters, which he openly acknowledges the audience a lot as a character, and so there's a reason behind that. But more than that, Cody knows that he's a man who thrives when the situation is do or die, and he's raised the stakes for himself to force himself to play hard here, which I think is brilliant and ballsy, even if they haven't like come out and said that that's his reason for doing it. I think it's super cool. The promo itself, though, wow, man,
Fucking amazing, dude.
The Rock came out and I guess praised him, right? And
The Rock praised every bit of the promo. I've seen Meltzer has praised it and said it, like, basically this. He said two things. One, this is the promo that needs to be taught in schools of how to do promos, because clearly, it may not have been Meltzer, but someone else said this is the modern day Hard Times promo. Just I can see that. And that's some hell of a praise right there.
I think his Hard Times promo, I don't think we've seen that yet, but I think we're gonna get it.
I think we're getting there, but like the emotion and everything, like, I could believe it that being this as the Hard Time promo, man. It was amazing.
I think it was really, really good. I think that this is the tool that AEW has that is going to give them a real chance. Because I don't think that the wrestling matters as much as people have put stock behind it. And I think WWE has the talent to have good matches if they stop micromanaging everybody. I think they will. I do not think WWE will bow creatively to letting talent do their own shit again. And I think this is the weapon that AEW has that's going to make them a legitimate thing, is that they're allowing the talent to do this themselves. They're putting faith in the talent, and it's paying off because the talent knows how to play their character, right? So let them go out there. And most of these guys, you know, despite being, you know, indie guys or whatever, they can fucking do it.
Yeah,
they can talk.
They absolutely
Just let
can.
them talk.
And I agree. That's the big thing here, is that, yeah, the wrestling is the wrestling in WWE and in AEW is at a very, very high level. I mean, you see amazing matches across the board. Promos, that's really where we're going to start seeing a big difference, because I'm sorry, the promos that come out of WWE, they aren't good. It's because
and it's important to note that the promos are what pull people in. That's the first thing anyone ever likes about wrestling, is the trash talk, right?
Absolutely, because like
I get to a point where you can watch matches and you're like, oh I really like this part in the match or whatever, but like, it's not the matches that get people into it. That's why I think a pay-per-view is a terrible way to introduce someone to American style wrestling.
Yeah, and 9 times out of 10, like with the videos that you would like off YouTube that you would be sending to your friends, of like, dude, you really need to watch this. It's it goes into two camps. It's either highlights of a badass match like
Right.
the Lucha Bros ladder match from All Out, or an amazing promo.
Right.
I've had a lot of friends who have been lapsed wrestling fans who have been interested in AEW, and they know that I do the podcast, and they ask me, like, so what's the difference here? And I'm like, watch this promo. And they've all also told me, it's like, yeah, the wrestling seems really good, but like I've heard that it's straight wrestling in the Dynamite. They're trying to do it all sports centric. And if you remember, that was the narrative that they were presenting.
Sure.
And so it's like I miss promos. That's what I really like. I like seeing the guy talking and doing a lot of the segments that have happened on Dynamite are the things that people miss that don't happen anymore. Cody going out and beating the shit out of Jericho and going to the skybox, the brawls at the end of the night, and the anger and the animosity between factions that you don't have on WWE because you don't have factions. You have the authority.
Right.
Woo, whoop-de-doo. You're not going to do shit against the authority. That's your boss. They'll fire your ass. So it's just, it's all these little things combined with the high level of wrestling that makes the product better as a whole.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, Dark Order versus Private Party. The winner of which will be added to a title match at Full Gear as the third team against the Lucha Bros and SCU. SCU joined the English commentary team for the match, while Lucha Brothers joined the Spanish commentary
Those
team.
fucking baller masks last night, dude.
They looked awesome. Although Phoenix looking like he just broke out of an old-timey jail or something with that striped shirt he was wearing. But
yeah, he looked like Popeye.
Evil Uno has this vest now. It's a notable improvement to his look.
Yeah, he actually looks like a terrifying man instead of a giant dude in a diaper.
Yeah. It's hard.
They've changed his mask as well. The mask is looking better. It's like
it's difficult to be a fat man with your shirt off. It just is.
Yeah.
I think putting the vest on him made him look intimidating in a way that he hasn't in a long time. So I think it was a good move and really felt like I connected more with them, even though I'm still not hot on the gimmick.
I'm not hot on the gimmick. I'm hot on the wrestling on their match now because
I thought the match was good.
The ring gear and being so it being so bad previously has taken away from being able to enjoy the wrestling because you're sitting there and you're like, he looks so fucking stupid. How can I enjoy this? How can I take this seriously as a scary person and this villain when you look like a moron?
I will say it did feel like Private Party were operating at like 60% for this match to kind of try to adapt to Dark Order's sort of less crazy style.
100% they were. They were going slow.
Private Party pulls the win off with gin and juice to Stooge Grayson. It was Stooge Grayson. It was fine. I thought it was good, but again, it did feel like sort of Private Party light in order to benefit the Dark Order that just wouldn't really be able to keep it because their style is different. It's not necessarily a skill thing. It's just they wrestle differently than Private Party, which is a Bucks clone, and
I mean, I wouldn't even call them
which is a Bucks clone, or not Luchasaurus, Lucha Brothers, which are a Bucks clone.
I wouldn't even really call Private Party, or Lucha Bros a Bucks clone anymore. They just have that very insanely fast style, and I do see where it is a Bucks clone. The Bucks kind of revolutionized that, but man, like that, it's jarring when you have to slow down. And that's one of the things I noticed. Like some of the, I put it in Discord. It's like it's a very solid match. It was real sloppy though, especially at the end. Those last two, that Hurricane Rana and the gin and juice, were real sloppy because of how slow they were going.
Yeah.
The gin and juice. The reason that move works is because they go so fast that it's seamless.
Yeah, I agree. What followed was the absolutely incredible Chris Jericho documentary piece.
Oh my god!
side-splittingly hilarious parody of the Cody promo video that we've seen a couple times about, oh, we knew when he was going to go for the title that we were going to lose him. Really sort of a play on all of these overly dramatic documentary pieces. I was telling my brother, it feels like when like Justin Bieber makes a documentary about himself, you know, or the One Direction documentary, all these sort of pop star documentaries that are made in-house by the artist, right? They're all very self-referential, and there's a lot of shots of just like Jericho is just sitting in a bathtub, you know, surrounded by
the bubbly.
bubbly.
The part at the beginning where it's like, oh, you think it's gonna peak when he gives fucking Sammy Guevara a kiss on the forehead, and you think like, okay, that's as far as they're gonna go. Sure.
Well, that scene was a direct reference to
Oh,
the thing with Brandy.
I know.
Yeah.
But you watch that, it's like, okay, that's as far as we're gonna go, right? And then we get down into it with everything else. Holy fuck, dude!
So fucking funny. Using Virgil was amazing too. The lady something Bobsky, Chris's aunt's friend from church, right, being interviewed. Jake Hager getting an interview and just saying nothing and staring into the camera. Was fantastic. I thought it was so fun. It's stuff with the tone like this where the performers are openly talking shit about each other through these sort of very funny things. I think this is like stuff that I'm watching it and going, this is amazing in a way that WWE would never do.
It's how you engage the audience, because like you're clearly making fun of each other,
right?
But it's a current thing. It's not a 30-year-old reference.
Right.
I mean, there are some 30-year-old references, like fucking Virgil's a 30-year-old reference, but
Virgil being there and talking about Olive Garden, you know, and
all you can, yeah,
it's amazing. Yeah. I thought it was so great. I actually got a text from Mac, our friend Mac, who was like, he's like, I'm 20 minutes behind, but the Virgil thing was amazing.
That's
like,
awesome.
Okay, dude.
I loved all of this, and if and I'm sure we'll have Jake Hager wrestling a match at some point. That's the match I think has not been announced. And I'm telling you, I think he was supposed to have a match, and then he broke Dustin's fucking arm because they fucked up. Yeah. If we never have Jake Hager speak, okay. Him doing this character like this and just being an enforcer, that works for him.
I'm okay with that. I still hate that fucking finish, but I'm okay with it.
Well, we don't know if it still is his finish.
Yeah, that's true.
If it is, good fucking luck, but you know.
Emi Sakura and Jamie Hayter versus Shauna and Riho. Shauna,
like the Shauna the Jungle Girl. I'm giving you references you probably never heard of. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Never mind. Don't worry about
it. This match I thought was okay. It was a little bit longer than it needed to be, but I didn't think it was bad.
It was way too fucking long.
My least favorite match of the night. A little bit longer than I thought it needed to be means I thought it was 6 to 8 minutes longer than it needed to be. Shauna and Hayter were the standouts here, I thought. Sakura got the win with a pin on Riho. A clean pin on the champ ain't nothing to fuck with, even in a tag, which is interesting. I feel like they announced that they were going to do the match at Full Gear the day before, though, right?
No, it happened yesterday. Okay. Before everything, before we even knew this was going to be a match.
Okay.
So it slipped out. It was okay. I didn't like it. I'd be honest with you, I really zoned out during this match.
I thought it was way longer than they had any business.
Yeah, I know Emi Sakura is a very talented women's wrestler, and she is a legend. I can't fucking stand this Freddie Mercury shit. Like it's very grating to me when she had a fucking painted on mustache last night. It looks stupid as hell.
I will say,
and then legit just like saying, because the ring mics were picking it up, like, we will rock you. Like, come on.
Yeah, really, really strange. I mean, I've talked about it before, and I have a great affinity for Freddie Mercury, but I've talked about it
I mean,
before.
I do as well, but it's like this is too
Yeah,
far.
it's weird. Um, well, it would be weird if she was Michael Jackson or anybody like that too, right? It's like it's just like
You're
okay,
you're crossing the line of okay, this is someone I idolize and I tailored parts of my life on
to
to
like this is my gimmick.
like this is my gimmick and this is my obsession. And
Right.
when it comes across as this is my obsession, it's not a good look.
Um, the thing that I want to say about this match, I've lost it.
It's
Uh,
gone.
yeah, completely gone. Next was a pre-tape from Brandy. I was kind of disappointed by it, if I'm being honest. I think it was too lucid from her. Last week we got this Dark Queen pre-tape thing, and this week it still seemed to be heading down that path. But this speech gave me, it felt like a step too far back in the other direction towards the old character. I would have liked for her to not talk or to have spoken cryptically. I was kind of hoping for something more Katrina or Bray Wyatt or something that felt like a bold new direction for the character. This feels more like a step forward and a step back, or like a baby step. Unfortunately, it's just Brandy that we're used to. Same cadence, same promo style, same everything. She's just kind of wearing darker clothes now.
Well, that's fair, but if you think about it, like doing it like this and having that very psychotic, crazy 2 weeks, and then you come back to being full lucid, makes you seem a hell of a lot crazier. Because that's like full on disassociative personality kind of shit.
Sure, sure. But we'll see where this goes. For me, I felt like it was way too early for this character to be doing that. I would have liked to have seen more sort of crazy stuff, more creepy stuff. But
I think
now she's
if
sort
this
of
had
back to the thing, I thought the promo was good. I mean, her promos are always pretty good. They're very much in Cody's cadence, you know, as I would imagine they would be. But I always thought that her promos were good. So.
I think if you'd done this promo in like 2 weeks, ignoring that Full Gear's happening, but if you'd done this in 2 weeks and she'd like ripped shit on someone this week, it would have had more of an impact of, okay, you're crazy, 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 lucid, or now crazy. Now, if she does some crazy shit next week, I think this also sticks better.
Yeah.
You can't, but it's like you said, you can't just take the baby step and then go right back to it.
Kong looking scary as shit though.
Yeah.
Throughout this thing.
That's a scary fucking bitch, dude.
Sean Spears versus Brandon Cutler.
Didn't need to happen.
Again, not really sure who this helped. Was pretty sure Sean Spears could beat Brandon Cutler. I was right about that. The point revealed itself when Spears went to hit Cutler with a chair after the match, and Janela made the save. Janela calling Tully Blanchard an old cuck is fucking amazing. I love
That was so fucked up, dude.
At the end of the match, he's like, come at you, me old cuck. And you had to have the volume up pretty high to hear it, but I laughed my ass off.
I thought I heard it the first time, and I was like, oh, he called him an old fuck. Whoa, that's far. So I rewinded it. I was like, there's no F sound. Holy fuck. He called him a cuck. That's amazing.
But yeah, it all felt like an excuse to get to this other thing at the expense of Brandon Cutler, which is, you know, fine, because again, when they were like, these are the two people fighting each other, I was like, oh, Sean Spears is going to win this match, obviously.
I'm just kind of getting tired of Brandon Cutler. Stick to being the videographer, buddy.
Hangman Page and Kenny Omega versus Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho for the main event match of the evening.
So I disagree with you that this feels like a 4 singles and a tag match. This is faction versus faction.
Sure, it's faction versus faction, but they didn't really present it that way enough for me personally. To me, it feels like Raw shit. It feels like, oh, okay, here's two people feuding. We'll put them in it. We're going to have a tag team match, playa, right? That's what it and it's always going to feel that way to me when that's the solution.
Yeah, but at least it's not one of these things like, oh, it's at the top of the show during the 17-minute promos. Like, okay, we're going to have a tag team match at the end of the night. You two versus you two. Like, Why?
Yes, much better than that. For sure. Much better than one of them coming out saying, last week I blah, 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 blah for 2 minutes. And then you hear the entrance music of the other guy and they come out and then they go back and forth. And then an authority figure comes out and goes, hey, you can find partners. We can have a tag team match tonight. And the crowd goes, woo. And then we look at the watch and it's like 25 minutes in and we're like, Jesus fucking Christ.
I gotta wait another hour, 2 hours for this shit.
And you go, do I really like the idea of that match that much? Nope.
Fuck no.
Sammy Guevara vlogging during his entrance makes me so fucking mad, and I don't know why.
Because
Personally,
he's a fucking piece of shit, and you hate him, and I hate him because he looks like goddamn Justin Bieber, and he's doing Justin Bieber shit, and I hate it. Yes, I know I sound like a very old man, but I don't care. I hate him.
I myself am an internet content creator, and nothing bothers me more than seeing that man vlog his way down the entrance. Bothers me to a degree that I'm not comfortable with personally. Really good main event tag though. Again, even if the 4 singles and a tag thing, it did feel that way to me. I actually thought that the match itself was great. Hangman and Jericho had Jericho in his sights for a buckshot lariat. That's when Pac jumped up on the apron and kicked him in the balls. Jericho hit Hangman with the Judas effect. 1, 2, 3, win for the heels. After that, all hell broke loose. Cody ran down to save Hangman from a post-match beatdown. The Inner Circle tried to retreat, but MJF cut them off with a steel chair. MJF threw Jericho in the ring. Cody hit La Champion with a crossroads. And then Moxley came in with his barbed wire bat to attack Omega. Omega had his barbed wire broom handy. Doesn't matter because Santana and Ortiz came down and attacked both of them, only for the Bucks to come in and make the save. They fight up.
Did you notice that was an unprotected chair shot to the head?
I did notice that. Santana and Ortiz almost powerbomb Matt Jackson off the stage, only for Kenny to make the save and nail Santana with a fucking snug V-trigger.
A stiff as fuck V-trigger that you heard on the camera. Like, damn, Kenny's gotta tone that down. He's gonna give people concussions.
Mox hit Ortiz with a DDT. Then Mox and Kenny went at each other and fought back into the dusty position. Nick climbed up on top of the entrance tunnel and leaped off onto a bunch of people. It was an absolutely chaotic riot, which is exactly what they were going for.
One of the camera guys got train wrecked, I think.
Yeah, which is perfect. And Jericho was the one to do it, and you know that Jericho did it on purpose to make the whole thing seem more chaotic, which is just the usefulness of having him as a brain in the operation.
Yeah. And like the way that they had that go down is that it was not planned. Well, it was planned by Jericho. It was not planned because like the camera had stayed on the whole time. If that was planned, the camera would have switched away immediately. Right. So I thought that was perfect the way they did it. Hope the camera guy's okay. Those cameras are heavy.
It ended with the Inner Circle and the Elite finally separating, only to go at it again as we went off of air. Fucking awesome. Perfect for a go home for a pay-per-view. It has that feeling that AEW has that's what's attractive to wrestling fans, is that it feels dangerous. It feels unpredictable. It feels...
You never know what's going to happen. You don't know who's going to pop out and just start beating the shit out of somebody.
And as much as people have complained about, every episode ends with the locker room spilling out or whatever, the last show before a pay-per-view should do that. Because it should feel like, oh my God, we're going to put all of these people in the same building on Saturday, and you have to see what happens.
Yeah, and like we had the past 2 weeks, we haven't had that. We haven't had any kind of end of the night, beat down. I know you and I had talked about it, that you wanted one every week. You were good with that, and I was like, no.
I'm done with it every week, dog.
You got to be careful with this. You don't want to do too many. You're gonna fuck it up. But like this is when you need to do it. You need to either have like a brawl at the end of the night before you go home, or you need to have a serious beatdown ending of like, yeah, we're dominant and we're gonna fuck you up again on Saturday.
Yeah, that's kind of the 3 ways you do it. You do a big brawl with the locker room, so you can say, oh man, we're gonna get all these elements in a room on Saturday, and it's gonna be explosive, and you have to see what happens when all of these people are back together again, because it's gonna be crazy. Or you have a really dominant beatdown, like you said, or you drop something that's going to significantly change the stakes. I think the only other way to end this would have been Cody's promo, because it added so much more stakes to the match we were going to see, and that's what you could lead out on. They didn't do it that way. They did it with this big brawl instead, which I think is the wiser option. But you had the last thing before you go into the pay-per-view has to be like, oh my
It's
God,
got to be
what's
a
gonna
very, very dramatic moment, and
happen? Yeah.
I think in the future they could probably end it on a promo like that, or with some stipulation. Like, even if, like, say it's okay, so we know Mox versus Kenny is the main event, even though it's not.
It's the lights out, yeah, but it's
If
probably gonna go on last.
it has to, if they were gonna do something like with Mox going into Tony's office at the end of the night, and that finding out in that promo that happened at the beginning of the show last week, that's another one that would be great thing to end the show on, of him
Right,
just,
you know, Kenny going through a desk or something like that, right? Like,
well, I just
something-
mean like Moxley walking into the office and losing his goddamn mind because, what do you mean it's an all-out match? This is supposed to count. What the fuck are you talking about? That kind of a thing, and then you just go black. Oh, that's perfect, dude.
Ratings this week: AEW 822,000, NXT 813,000. I tried to find more details as to demographic breakdowns and numbers for the night. Couldn't find them very easily. The point being that NXT made a jump while AEW had a loss, and NXT actually got pretty close to what most would consider a tie. But AEW still beat them. And the important thing to note, for those that don't know,
WWE pulled out a lot of stops.
WWE, for some reason, didn't intentionally do this, even though this is the shit I would have done like fucking day one to try to get the brand over. They left a plane full of people in Saudi Arabia. Not going to talk about that. Other podcasts
Should have done that at the beginning, you idiots.
Other podcasts can talk about that. Go to your WWE podcast and have them talk about.
Actually,
how their
you know
company
what?
Left a bunch of people in Saudi fucking Arabia. Anyway,
Don't even go to other podcasts. Just get on the internet. Major news outlets have covered this shit.
And so they had to use people to fill in for SmackDown on Fox because
that shit's got to be live.
A significant portion of the SmackDown roster was stranded in Saudi Arabia. So they pulled up NXT and did this NXT invasion angle. And Dave Meltzer was actually saying, I wouldn't be surprised if NXT beat AEW this week, because they had such significant exposure on the Fox show, which was all like, hey, watch NXT Wednesday nights if you like any of these guys.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm pretty surprised they didn't win either. The fact that they didn't is kind of fucking embarrassing. But
so here's my thought on this: is like, part of it is, yes, the Saudi Arabia thing, as well as they've been talking before Crown Jewel happened that Survivor Series this year was going to be a 3-way. It was going to be each brand against each other. So I feel like this was the original direction anyways. Maybe not the SmackDown part. That was kind of just a bonus that happened. But the invasion of, like, I saw it on Twitter, of the club, you know, AJ, Gallows, and Anderson just wrecking shit on Undisputed Era in the parking lot.
right.
That kind of a thing, that's building the buzz that you need for your show, man. That's like that's all you, that's just, it's the simple shit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm surprised too that NXT still kind of lost, because this should have been the badass ratings, because you're pulling out all the stops to do this.
I mean, basically, with the exception of like sending the Undertaker to NXT or something like that.
Yeah,
right? Like,
man.
they tried everything, and this there is going to be a point. I guess we got to talk about this because people were, you know, upset in Discord that like, oh, it's getting close, it's going to be a tie. There's going to be a point where WWE beats AEW in the ratings. Don't get upset about it, because it's not a problem. Jericho has said it over and over again. We've quoted him on the show. Stop worrying so much about the competition. The whole 83 weeks thing, not going to happen again. Thank God, because it's a distraction. What's important is TNT happy with the numbers that AEW is doing? And the answer there is yes, emphatic.
100%. Yeah, the
Fact of
ratings.
the matter is NXT, with all of the money and the company that they have behind them, losing to AEW for the past 6 weeks is fucking embarrassing. And the
Yeah.
fact that they still lost is fucking embarrassing. It's a miracle that we've been able to pull 6 weeks out. If we pull out a 7th and an 8th and a 9th and a 15th, it'll be unbelievable, because WWE has such an unbelievable market share that pro wrestling doesn't really exist within America in the casual person's mind. It's only WWE or WWF in many cases. So
That's true.
the idea that they've been able to beat NXT, which has WWE behind it for as long as they have, is astounding. And at the point when it happens, when they don't, okay, as long as they're still pulling in enough for TNT to be interested, we're going to be around for a long time. And like they've said, and like Jonathan said in Discord, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Don't worry about it, because it doesn't matter what they're doing in comparison to NXT. TNT doesn't give a fuck, because the dollars that they make off of advertisers are the same regardless of what NXT is doing.
Yeah, the money that TNT is making, and which is why they're so happy, is astronomical, because they got a fucking bargain for this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, that NXT, the quote hottest brand that WWE has, don't give a fucking shit what Vince says that Raw and SmackDown are the big money brands. Bullshit. NXT's the hot one.
Right.
What has been for years, because Vince isn't touching it. That it can't beat AEW when you're pulling out all the stops and you have these hundreds of millions of dollars to do it. Yeah, it's fucking embarrassing. One of the biggest things that I saw on Twitter is like that the biggest difference, and I think it was Eric Bischoff that said this, is the reason why it feels so different and probably why NXT is losing is there's a big difference between being in that live room that's a different room every night and that sound stage, which is essentially what Full Sail is.
Right.
When you have the same crowd who aren't hot because they're trying to get themselves over, you don't have a hot crowd, you're not going to have engagement. The wrestling is going to look less because the crowd's not hot. The wrestling looks less. That leads to a worse product. That leads to lower ratings. It's a cyclical effect.
But WWE also, kudos to WWE for doing this, because it's smart, because they put greater stakes on NXT.
Yeah.
So people who otherwise would have
Skipped
what it
it.
looks like on paper is that people went from AEW to NXT. I don't necessarily think that's the case unless people prove it. I think what happened more likely is AEW lost about what they usually lose, right? And then
Did we even lose any this week, or did we kind of say it looks? I don't remember, but it looks pretty solid number.
we lost some. People who are typically SmackDown or Raw people said, "Oh, there's stakes. I need to watch this NXT thing and tune into NXT." I think it's WWE taking more of their own people rather than it is taking AEW people. I really don't think that's happening.
Yeah, I don't really see that any audiences have been cannibalized in one way or the other.
Right. So that's the way it's going to be, and I think the emphasis on ratings, we're still going to talk about ratings on the show because it's important to people, but the emphasis on ratings should be de-emphasized, because it's not. It was cool to talk about when we're winning, but it's going to be kind of a back and forth thing unless we go next week and NXT is back down to 500,000 or whatever.
Yeah, and I mean to be honest, like this may honestly be like the last time we talk about ratings, because it's not really important unless there's like dramatic drops. It's not really important.
Yeah, I mean, it's not important in comparison to NXT. Not as much as everyone thinks it is. It's just this legend of WCW in the 83 weeks hangs over professional wrestling still.
And it always fucking will, because that was the time that Vince lost. And see, that's the thing, is like that's the things that haunt Vince. There's two things in this world, and in this anything that haunt Vince more than anything. The XFL failed, and he got beat for 83 weeks in a row.
Right. And
now
I'm not going to hit that.
And
Nowhere.
the 83 weeks thing, he ended up, justifying that because he won in the end. So
I think what attracts people to the ratings is that it's the metric, right? It's the metric we can
Sure.
talk about of like we did better than they did, right? It's almost like a score. I just don't think it's nearly as important a score as people are making it out to be. And I'm saying this with AEW having won this week. So you want to talk about the Countdown 2 video that they put up? It's interesting that this didn't air on TNT, but they probably had some other thing that they were going to air on Thursday or Friday, so they didn't want to do it. But the previous ones have aired on TNT. Even when they didn't have a TV show yet, they did these countdowns.
yeah, I think it's also because like it's harder because there's less time for these, and they just threw it up on YouTube, which is fine with me.
It's great place to watch it. And what's great about this is that clearly the Road 2 team has been doing this in the background, because unlike the previous Countdown 2s, which were just like re-edited Road 2 specials,
This was all new
this
stuff.
is all new stuff. Basically entirely new footage.
Yeah,
I
haven't finished watching it yet. I still have like 10 minutes left. But man, like what I've seen of it is so amazing. That fucking first part with the Santana and Ortiz just in Manhattan and giving baller promos, dude, it was amazing.
Yeah, man.
Ortiz is a crazy person.
I thought it was fantastic. I highly recommend it. It is all new stuff, even if you're an avid watcher. Like, it's new content, and it's worth watching before the pay-per-view. I don't know if they're going to air it.
They might. We'll see. I try not to figure out what the fuck any television network is going to do, especially one I used to work for, because they don't make any goddamn sense.
I don't know if BR Live is going to. I haven't seen it thrown up on BR Live.
It's the same thing. I don't try to figure out what the fuck they do, and none of it makes sense. Yeah, definitely try to check this out because it was really, really good.
But my digital ticket to Full Gear is purchased. I'm super excited for Saturday night.
I've not purchased mine, but I will be in the next day. I just forgot.
Yeah, this is definitely the latest I purchased one, except for All Out, which I was there, so I didn't end up buying the pay-per-view.
I mean, I bought the pay-per-view too, but that was for my dad.
Let's do picks for this thing, man.
Let's do some picks. I gotta pull that up. Okay. You go first.
Joey Janela versus Sean Spears. I think Sean Spears.
Yeah, I agree. There's nothing more I can say about that. That's the one it's gonna be.
I mean,
I'm good. I think it's gonna be an awesome match, and I'm happy to be surprised. But I don't think they are looking to put Sean Spears on a significant losing streak.
No, and he's had these tune-up matches where he beat the guys, right?
He's also he's been having some good matches, way better than anything he ever had as Ty Dillinger.
I think they're trying to put him over as a brutal guy. I think this match is what they're trying to do with it. I think losing all the time really hurts Sean Spears. I don't really think it hurts Joey Janela.
No.
His character is not that he wins. His character is that he's
crazy.
A crazy person.
Yes, very creepy. He signs people's tits.
SoCal Uncensored, who are the champions, versus Lucha Bros versus Private Party for the title. I predict that this match is going to be insane.
Absolutely, yeah. This is one of those where I know who's going to win, but I don't care because it's going to be so insane, and I'm going to have to watch it like 3 times.
I mean, I doubt they go through that whole tournament and then immediately take it off of SoCal Uncensored.
It'd be pointless. It would be 100% pointless to not have chosen to highlight either of the other 2 teams who were also in the tournament, because this match is first, second, and third of the tournament, which is very cool that all the teams got a little medal. I thought that was cool. It's a nice touch.
I thought it was weird.
It's a nice touch, though.
Medals, yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's not something you would expect. And like at first, like they came out and the SoCal Uncensored and Lucha Bros had them on. I was like, what the fuck are they wearing? And then when the ref held them up, and I was like, Oh, gold, silver, and bronze. That makes sense. Because we're a sport.
Yeah. I think SoCal Uncensored. There's no way that you take the belts off them like
Immediately.
a week and a half later.
Yeah.
If that, right? Like,
Maybe 2.5 weeks. No, you don't pull them off that quickly. SoCal Uncensored is going to be the champions for a little while.
yeah. Yeah, I would be kind of disappointed if they did, because I'd be like, well, why'd you go all the way through that tournament if you're just going to take it off immediately? But I mean, they could do anything at this point. We're so early in the story. Riho versus Emi Sakura for the title. Riho.
Yeah, I'm also picking Riho. It's the same kind of thing. They're not going to take the title off of her.
I can't imagine, especially with Emi Sakura having pinned Riho on the show. I imagine that this match will be.
I'm expecting shenanigans, to be honest with you.
I'm expecting this match won't be very good, but we'll have to see. I mean, I like Riho for the same reasons the crowd likes Riho, but I've never seen a match with Riho that I thought was
good,
super great and solid. And
yeah, I'm changing my pick. I'm going to pick Emi Sakura. I don't think she's going to be the champion.
But you think she's going to win?
I think she's going to win. Because I'm expecting there to be shenanigans, because the match I thought that was going to be done was Riho versus Hikaru Shida. And Hikaru Shida and Riho have bad blood. I think there's going to be some interference.
Okay. B Priestley versus Britt Baker, which is supposedly going to be on the buy-in.
This is the buy-in match that we know of right now.
Jeez, it's hard because this seems like something they want to keep going. Maybe B. I'm gonna say B.
I picked Britt because they're investing too much in Britt to let her lose, but I can honestly see either way. This is going to be like a trilogy.
Adam Page versus Pac.
Fucking horse, man. I can go either way, but I'm going with the horse. He's hurt, man. His horse died. He's hurt.
He's been in a weird place, and losing to Jericho hit him really hard. So the place here is either you have him beat Pac after all this time, and that finally brings him around, or you have him lose to Pac as well, and then see where that goes. I'm gonna say Pac.
Okay, I don't fault you with that, because I think I really do in my heart. I think he's gonna lose, and they're using it to set up a bigger gimmick for Adam Page, and it's probably going to be leading to him splitting off from the Elite, and that's because there's probably going to be something is going to be said or happen where he's going to be by himself. He's going to have no backup or no support, and that's the last straw for him. That's the story they've been building everywhere.
Well, they make him the Civil War Spider-Man of the group. You know what I mean?
That too, but yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised to see him cut out from the Elite, because it seems like there's a conscious effort to slot in either MJF or Darby Allin into that spot.
Kind of both, but yeah. And that they're being mindful of it. They don't want to make the Elite too big where it really mimics the NWO. Like, oh well, he's part of two. Him too. Right, and then
they kind of want to keep it to 5.
Yeah, they don't want the whole fucking roster on one faction or another, because that's bad for business.
Well, they also don't want it to be lopsided against the Inner Circle, right? And the Inner Circle is 5 dudes, so.
Right, but you don't want to. It's how the NWO started. Like, it was 3 dudes, and then it became 7, and then it became 15, and then they had to split off of the NWO because it was the whole goddamn roster except Sting.
Young Bucks versus Proud and Powerful.
I picked the Bucks.
I'm gonna go Proud and Powerful for this one. Yeah. I think the Inner Circle, for the most part on this night, are gonna be
gonna go over.
Gonna be pulled ahead on this.
That's
Just
fine.
makes no
That's fair.
difference for them to be. I think the strength of the elite is going to be when they're together at some point. Whether they do that in a war games type thing or whatever.
Ooh,
whatever they're
dude,
gonna
that'd
end
be
up doing.
so good.
But I think individually, I think you need to show the strength of the inner circle where you can.
Yeah, and like Santana and Ortiz haven't really had like a real match yet.
Right. I think it'll be a great match.
I do too.
Chris Jericho versus Cody for the title.
I picked Cody.
Jericho.
Okay.
It's got to be Jericho. The reason why you put a stipulation on it, I can never challenge for the title again, is to go through with it, right? And then kind of see where the story goes implication wise. Now, the fact that his wording is, I will never challenge for the title again. It's not. So let's say if MJF ended up getting the title and said, I have to put this title on the line to prove that I can beat you for it or something like that. It seems like something where he's intentionally wording it, I will not challenge for the title again, so that he can be invited.
Yeah.
But he can't challenge for it.
It's very intentional wording, and it's also the funny part of it is like, well, you may not challenge for it, but if your boss fucking tells you you're going to be in a title match, you do what your fucking boss tells you.
Wait, you didn't challenge for it this time.
No. Tony said, go fight him now, and you did it.
So I think Jericho's going to win here. I don't think it's going to be clean.
Oh, no, it's not going to be clean at all. It's going to be like Hager is going to be interfered in some way.
And I think that's going to fuel it even more and fuel the elite versus the inner circle even more, that now Cody's gone for the title, but if he hadn't put this stipulation on himself, then he, as the protagonist of the story, wouldn't have lost anything because of the bad guy. Now, if Jericho takes this title win by cheating, then he's taken something from Cody. Now, granted, it was something that Cody put on a table unlocked and said, are you going to take it or not, right? But it's still, you have the bad guy taking something from the good guys. He can't challenge for the title again, and that's Jericho's fault. So, yeah, I think he's probably not going to win this match.
That's fair.
Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega for the title.
Dude, there's no title. It's lights out, yeah.
It's lights out.
I'm going Mox.
Yeah.
It's so
This
hard,
is a hard
dude.
one for me, dude. This is a really hard one for
Like
me.
if this was the match at All Out, I would have said Kenny.
Yeah.
But dude, Mox has got so much fire under him right now.
Yeah, the thing is, if Moxley wins in this match, it's a lot easier for him to make the case. All right, let's have another match. Let's
Let me prove to you. Yeah, let's prove I beat your boy. And in your stipulation, let's do it on mine. It's legit now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, Mox. I'm gonna go Mox on that.
I can't wait to see like the stipulations that the scorecards have for this match, because it's gonna be something crazy.
Yeah, those are our picks for Full Gear. If you're in our Discord server, if you want to win a T-shirt from our boy Pumpkin Skull, the champion, if you beat him, the scorecards are supposed to drop at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Whether or not they do is anybody's guess, because Pro Wrestling Scorecards is like that. They work very hard over there. Sometimes things get delayed. That's how it goes.
They also really try as hard as they can to put it off as late as they can, because AEW has a bad habit of announcing matches at the last minute.
But get in our Discord, fill out the sheet, submit it to Anthony, a chance to be our Discord server champion, a chance to win a free T-shirt of your choice from Pro Wrestling Tees from our current champion, Pumpkin Skull.
Are you challenging your brother again?
I don't know. I honestly haven't talked about it with him yet, which is weird. I should. I have to talk to him.
You got a day, man.
Thank you so much for joining us. YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, podcast services everywhere. Subscribe, review, give us 5 stars, just like Meltzer. It makes us feel so sweet. Jonathan, how sweet?
Too sweet, buddy.
Facebook.com/Seeing the Elite, Twitter @Seeing the Elite. Join our Discord server, tinyurl.com/Seeing the Elite. Once again, if you want to become one of our best friends, one of our inner circle, head to patreon.com/Seeing the Elite and subscribe to the boys. Thank you to you all who have been watching the show live, if anyone's in there, and thanks to our thanks to our patrons, Adam Dyson, Alejandro Diaz, Bill Laviolette, Chris Genro, Ale Avoth, Keith Kazulno, Mikhael, Merman, and Peter. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. Before we go, once again, for Patreon people, partial watch through of this week's episode of Dynamite with my brother, the Commissioner, Anthony, is up on Patreon for all Patreon subscribers. Additionally, the other thing I want to say is we will be dropping our review of I guess review is the wrong word, but our episodes centered around
Our full gear post show
will drop on our old time on Monday morning. We will record it live on Sunday, so that's where that's going to be for pay-per-views, kind of from here on out, unless there's an exception for whatever reason. So look forward to that on Monday. 2 episodes next week, an episode on Monday, an episode on Friday morning. So that's going to be great. Thank you so much for joining us. Jonathan, you have anything more for these people before we go?
Go buy Luigi's Mansion.
Struggle through the Luigi's Hotel. I do believe they missed an opportunity not calling this series Luigi Sucks, but
fuck you, man.
No, because in the game he's
just a whiny bitch. Okay,
no,
fair. Yeah, he does suck. Yeah,
Ghost
yeah, but that's probably what it's called in Japan, but they can't call it here because people are all touchy.
And then they call the sequel Luigi Sucks and Blows.
No, you really can't do that, because then you'd be like, no. The sequel is Luigi Does Blow.
Luigi Sucks again.
While he does the blow.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back very, very soon on Monday with another chapter of Seeing the Elite and AEW podcast. Go out and change the world.
I just noticed that you gotta edit the Patreon thing.
Oh yeah, why is that?
Adam is not a patron. He had to pull out.
Oh, okay.
No big deal. I get it.
Yeah, I've been wondering what's going on with him.
Yeah. I was wondering. I wanted to do like a winner gets like the $5 subscription on us until the next pay-per-view, but I can't figure out how we would do it.
Yeah, it's weird that you can't
like gift a subscription.
Gift subscriptions at all.
Yeah, like I know another podcast I listen to that does it through Patreon. They had to go through like a lot of hoops to put together a system to gift subscriptions to their like friends, and it's like you could gift a subscription to me, something like that. But
that's interesting, because I was wondering what went down because I noticed the other day, like we were up at 50 and then we dropped down to 46 or whatever. I was like, who backed out? And I couldn't figure out who had backed out.
Yeah, so it's all good, but I wish we could do that. I'm gonna try and see if I can figure something out for next pay-per-view. Is like we can, so that we could, hey man, you're a champ, you get a freebie, and if you're already a patron, you get to pick a person.
Well, it's at no cost to us, right? So
even if
unless they're a person who's already subscribed, it's really at no cost to us. So.
Right, like even if it's like one of us paying for it, like I don't care. It's $15. That's fine.
Right.
But it's just very frustrating.
We do have like $46